You teed this up a little bit last time, but we had to get out, and you said it was a pretty long story, I believe. So now that we have time to get into it, there was a Kurt Angle One Direction story of some kind.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I had wrestled for TNA. I did the gut check, and then I did the
Yes.
Impact,
Yeah.
and then I did the pay-per-view, and then like a year after that, or not a whole year even, Peter Avalon had started working there, and as I'm sure you all know from listening, he's one of my best friends. And One Direction was doing they were doing something called 1D Day. It was an all-day live stream on YouTube. This is 2013, so those live streams weren't, a huge thing yet. They usually were like appointment based, not an everyday thing. So they set up this big thing. It was going to have big guests: Celine Dion, Simon Cowell, the Muppets were there, all this stuff, and then they had basically each dude in the band got something they really wanted to come, and Liam Payne is a diehard wrestling fan, so they got in connection with Impact, and they were like, "Hey, we want him to wrestle. Can we get him to wrestle?" And they're like, "Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll bring a ring. We'll set up a ring, and we'll have him wrestle." And it was crazy because there was a live audience there also, like crazy little girl One Direction fans, like crazy like tweens and teens, and it was like the craziest fans you can think of for any one thing. So they were there live, and they were like, "Oh yeah, he'll wrestle live." And they figured out whatever. It ended up being he's going to wrestle Kurt Angle, and I forget who was originally going to do it because they're like, "Well, Liam can't wrestle, so we'll do the old switcheroo. We need someone that's roughly boy band size." What do you know? Guess who doesn't really look like a wrestler? Me. So for once, that came in handy for a nice payday and a really cool experience. They were like, okay, well, we've used him before. Bob Ryder reached up. Peter Avalon recommended me. He was like, he was in the airport with Bob Ryder. Rest in peace. He was a great guy that helped me a lot. Um, Peter talked to Bob and was like, oh, well, Yuma's in California where the YouTube place is. He's close, and he's definitely closer size than anybody out there. And he's worked for TNA before. Straight up, he just boom, basically was like, give him the job. And so they reached out and they got my measurements or whatever, and they had to make me a costume. And the bit was Kurt Angle would come out, talk his smack. Liam would come out through the people, whatever, in his costume without the mask on, talk to Kurt, blah, blah, blah. And then they would go to opposite corners and set up. Okay. And so while they went to opposite corners, they were going to cut the camera, both for the stream and to bring the attention of the live fans, like make them turn. Two other members of One Direction were in the parking lot. And they're like, all right, what do you think? How do you think Liam's going to do in the ring against an Olympic gold medalist? That kind of bull crap to kill some time. And so while they do that, I'm hiding under the ring, and he hops down like he's going to tie his shoe, and he goes under the ring, and I pop up. We were not very similar in size, not going to lie. He was quite a bit taller than me. I was just much stockier, bigger butt, and literally, like, when I went from under, 10 girls on this one corner of the ring had to have seen a switch. They had to, but they were so blinded by One Direction that I don't think they realized what happened, because they were just agape. I'm not even kidding when I say these girls look like zombies. They were just staring, and we switched right in front of them. I hop up in the ring, whatever. Now, originally, we were supposed to wrestle like a match, like a match. Like, I'm talking, I got in the ring with Kurt before. We worked together for like an hour. It was a dream come true. He was so cool. We practiced all these really cool high spots. Basically, I was gonna get to run a bunch of old Ray Jr. Kurt Angle high spots. It was like literally, and it was to make Liam look good. The idea was to make Liam look like, oh shit, like this guy's not just a fan, he's also a great wrestler. Holy cow, how could it be? That was the whole goof. That on this live thing, he would all of a sudden be this amazing wrestler because they didn't show him switch. Everyone watching at home thinks it's Liam. The old switcheroo, whatever. So we go over this match, we call this match, whatever, and I was winning, and it was just crazy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, I'm going to do this match with Kurt Angle. I'm going to hit all these Ray Jr. high spots, like one of my heroes, and I get to go over. Yeah, it's not me, but it doesn't matter. I'm the one living this experience. This is going to be awesome. And then someone from One Direction comes up. This is earlier in the day. They're all inside with like the Muppets at this point or some shit. And someone's like, wait. I'm sorry. what was going to happen there. And it was the beginning. I was going to do a bunch of up and over, under, arm drag, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And then out of nowhere, he's going to clothesline me. That was like the stopping point. Then he would do some stretching, some holds, just make, basically work the crowd. And then we were going to go to a bunch of exciting crap, and then I was going to beat him. And they were like, "Oh, you can't hit Liam." And he's like, "Oh, well, I mean, it's not actually him, so it's fine." They're like, "No, no, no, we don't want the girls to think he's getting hit. They'll be so upset. We'll break their hearts. They'll cry. Like, we're going to get complaints." Because the clothesline, he was going to give me was going to be pretty nasty. He's like, "You cannot hit him. You can't hit him in the throat." Like, their PR people were like freaking out. Like, "You cannot hit Liam. Oh my God." And they were like, "What did you think And this is literally like, 2 hours before we go live.
Oh wow.
This is happening. They were just like, they just didn't know what pro wrestling was at all, apparently. No one told the legal team or whatever. So we had to work around it to it being a bunch of chain wrestling, up and over, slide, crawl through the legs, a bunch of bullshit. And so it's kind of a bummer. But at the end of the day, he was like, "Hey, I don't care. We got to get something good in." So we worked in a really cool high spot. And he was like, "What's your finish?" And I was like, "Oh," he's like, "What do you want to hit on me?" And I was like, holy shit. Like, Kurt Angle just asked me what my finish is. Like, what a world. And I told him, I was like, "Well, it's a move that you've probably never seen before. I'm the only person that does it." I was like, "It's like an X Factor, but I jump and I wrap my shins around your neck and I trap your head." I was like, "It's like a mini jumping pile driver." And he was like, "That sounds badass. Let's do it." And I was like, "Oh crap." So basically, I'm about to hit the sex factor on Kurt Angle. So we go out there, whatever. The girls definitely saw us switch. At least 10 of them did. And then we go out there and we do the thing. Awesome. It goes great. Kurt Angle is literally a machine. I remember he whipped me to the corner, and I thought I was going to just like fall face first through the post.
Wow.
Like just a regular Irish whip. This man threw me, and like he's working. You know what I mean? Like I needed to be at his level, not the other way around. He didn't give me some soft little baby, fake lucha whip. He whipped me, and I was like, "Good Lord." Like, I almost botched right away, which would have obviously been, typical Yuma, some kind of memorable mistake. But it went great. I hit the sex factor. He took it fucking perfectly, and he gave it like a Family Guy sell, is what we call it, where you just lay dead with like an arm behind your back. And I roll him over and I pin him, and I'm celebrating, losing my mind. And one of the things I kept doing when I was supposed to be Liam is acting like a fan. We've all seen a celebrity get in the ring on Raw. We've all seen a fan hop in the ring. They always feel the edge of the mat. They hop a few times. They kind of, lean on the ropes wrong. Like, I kind of did all that stuff to make it seem like I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I won, I dropped to my knees like Kurt.
That's
and I was
smart.
just, and it was awesome. It was so cool. We